Beaches, places of peace, serenity and relaxation, crashing waves, warm sun, kids laughing, building sandcastles. What could be more wholesome, more innocent? Well, my friends, if you peel back the layers of that postcard picture underneath, you'll find something much darker, much more sinister, because the stories we're about to tell, they happened on beaches. And let me tell you something, they are anything but relaxing. Today we're diving into the dark and chilling tales that lurk beneath the sunny facade of our favorite beaches. We're going to journey into the heart of Paradise Lost, where the sand meets the unknown and where the only sound you hear over the gentle breeze are screams. To set the mood, we've added some dark, eerie music to accompany these stories, so sit back, relax, maybe grab a blanket, turn down the light, and lock your doors. Our first story takes us to the seemingly idyllic town of Sandy Shores, a small coastal community where generations have come to escape the hustle and bustle of city life. The Peterson family, excited for their annual vacation, was no different. John and Mary Peterson, along with their two young children, 8-year-old Emily and 10-year-old Josh, eagerly anticipated their week in their beloved beach house, a charming weather-beaten cottage passed down through Mary's side of the family for decades. The first few days of the vacation were seemingly picture-perfect. Days were spent splashing in the waves, building sandcastles that stretched towards the horizon and collecting seashells, each one a tiny treasure. Evenings were filled with laughter as they played board games, the warm glow of the setting sun painting the walls of the cottage in hues of orange and purple. However, this tranquility wouldn't last. As day 3 transitioned into night, a series of unsettling events began. It started subtly. Emily, usually a sound sleeper, was plagued by nightmares, each one more vivid, more terrifying than the last. She'd wake up screaming, her small body trembling, her eyes wide with a terror that sent chills down her parents' spines. Then came the whispers, faint at first, barely audible, like the wind rustling through the dunes. But as the days passed, they grew louder, more insistent, weaving their way into the fabric of their once peaceful vacation. John initially dismissed them as the creaking of an old house, but Mary, her unease growing, couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. One evening, as the family gathered in the cozy living room, a framed photograph of Mary's grandparents, taken on the very beach they now walked, mysteriously fell from the wall, the glass shattering, sending shards flying across the room. The children screamed, startled by the sudden crash, as John and Mary exchanged a worried look. This wasn't just an old house settling. Something was wrong. Josh, usually a brave and adventurous child, became withdrawn, refusing to leave his parents' side, his eyes constantly darting around the room as if he were being watched. One night, while Emily slept fitfully, clutching her teddy bear for comfort, Mary noticed a faint, ethereal glow emanating from the closet in the corner of their bedroom. Her heart pounded in her chest, a cold dread washing over her as she cautiously approached the closet door, her hand trembling as she reached for the knob. Our next haunting tale takes us to the shores of Twilight Beach, a seemingly picturesque stretch of coastline known for its breathtaking sunsets and towering cliffs that cast long, eerie shadows over the sand as the sun dipped below the horizon. The locals whispered tales of the beach being cursed, haunted by the spirits of those lost to the sea. But these were usually dismissed as folklore, ghost stories told to keep children from wandering too far from home. One warm summer evening, as the sun began its descent, casting the beach in a warm, golden glow, a young couple, Sarah and David, arrived at Twilight Beach, eager to enjoy a romantic evening stroll along the water's edge. Sarah, a budding photographer, couldn't resist capturing the beauty of the setting sun, her camera clicking away as David, his arm wrapped around her, smiled down at her, his heart filled with love for the woman who had stolen it so effortlessly. As the last rays of sunlight faded below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of purple and orange, Sarah and David decided to turn back, their laughter echoing through the now quiet and deserted beach. Suddenly, Sarah stopped, her eyes drawn to a peculiar sight in the distance. A flickering light, faint and ethereal, danced along the base of the cliffs, its glow barely perceptible in the gathering darkness. "David, do you see that?" Sarah asked, her voice barely a whisper, as she pointed towards the mysterious light. David squinted, trying to make out what she was pointing at, but the darkness and the distance made it difficult to discern. "See what, babe?" "It's probably just a firefly," David replied, his tone nonchalant, trying to ease Sarah's growing unease. But Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. The light seemed to beckon her, drawing her closer, its glow pulsing like a heartbeat. Against David's better judgment, they cautiously made their way towards the flickering light, their footsteps silent against the damp sand. As they drew closer, the air grew noticeably colder, a bone-chilling cold that seemed to seep into their bones, sending shivers down their spines. The flickering light grew brighter, revealing itself to be a lantern, its flame dancing wildly in the night air, casting grotesque shadows on the craggy face of the cliffs. And then they saw her. A woman, her back to them, stood bathed in the eerie glow of the lantern, her long flowing hair cascading down her back like a silken waterfall. She appeared to be staring out at the ocean, her body completely still, as if lost in thought. "Hello?" Sarah called out, her voice trembling slightly, unsure of what to expect. The woman didn't respond. She didn't even acknowledge their presence. Sarah called out again, her voice a little louder this time. "Excuse me, are you okay?" Silence. The woman remained completely still, her gaze fixed on the dark horizon. David, his unease growing with each passing second, gently placed his hand on Sarah's arm, urging her to turn back. "Come on, Sarah, let's just go. This is creepy," he whispered, his voice barely audible above the sound of the waves crashing against the shore. As they turned to leave, Sarah, her curiosity getting the better of her, decided to take one last photograph. Chapter 3. Our final tale takes us to the secluded shores of Coral Cove, a place steeped in maritime history, its shores littered with the remnants of shipwrecks, each one a silent testament to the unforgiving nature of the sea. The locals spoke of a ghostly apparition, a phantom ship that emerged from the mists on moonless nights, its sails billowing despite the lack of wind, its spectral crew forever doomed to sail the seas, forever searching for a shore they could never reach. Legend had it that the ship, known as the Lady Luck, had been a notorious pirate vessel, its captain a ruthless and bloodthirsty man named Blackheart, who terrorized the seas, plundering ships and leaving a trail of destruction in his wake. But Blackheart's reign of terror was not to last. One fateful night, as the Lady Luck sailed through a raging storm, a mutiny erupted on board. The crew, driven to desperation by Blackheart's cruelty, turning on their captain. The ship, caught in the throes of both a violent storm and a bloody battle, met its end on the jagged rocks of Coral Cove, its wreckage swallowed by the unforgiving sea, taking Blackheart and his ill-gotten treasure down with it. Over the centuries, fishermen returning home late at night reported seeing the ghostly glow of the Lady Luck emerging from the fog, its spectral sails illuminated by an eerie green light, the sound of the crew's ghostly laughter echoing across the waves. Some claim to have heard the mournful cries of Blackheart himself, his voice filled with rage and despair, forever cursing the mutiny that led to his watery grave. Most dismissed these tales as drunken ramblings, the products of overactive imaginations fueled by too much rum and the solitude of the sea. But there were those who knew the truth, who had seen the Lady Luck with their own eyes and lived to tell the tale. One foggy night, a young couple, Emily and Ethan, decided to take a romantic stroll along the shores of Coral Cove, the air thick with the salty tang of the sea and the mournful cries of seagulls. Emily, a hopeless romantic, was drawn to the history and mystery of the cove, her imagination running wild with tales of pirates and lost treasures. As they walked hand in hand along the beach, the fog began to roll in, thick and heavy, enveloping the cove in an eerie silence. The moon, hidden behind a blanket of clouds, cast no light, plunging the beach into darkness, the only sound the gentle lapping of the waves against the shore. Suddenly, a strange light pierced through the fog, a faint green glow that seemed to emanate from the sea itself. Emily and Ethan stopped, their eyes drawn to the eerie light, their hearts pounding in their chests. As the fog shifted, swirling around them like ghostly apparitions, a chill ran down their spines. There, emerging from the mist, its sails billowing despite the lack of wind, was a ship, its hull seemingly glowing with an otherworldly light. "Emily! Ethan, look!" Emily exclaimed, her voice barely a whisper, her grip tightening on Ethan's hand. The beach, a symbol of relaxation and joy, can also be a place of mystery and fear. These stories remind us that even the most beautiful places can hide the darkest secrets. Stay safe and always be aware of your surroundings. As the sun dips below the horizon, casting long shadows across the sand, remember that every beach has its story. Some are tales of laughter and love, while others whisper of darker things, of secrets buried beneath the waves, of spirits forever bound to the shores. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more chilling tales. Until next time, sweet dreams.